Disclaimer! The following episode contains spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Don't go crying to your mum if we spoil it for you. You've been warned. Welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. And this week, so unplug the jukebox and do us all a favour. That music's lost its taste, so try another flavour. And music, ha ha ha, and the Wasp, ha ha ha. Cue the music! Hello there, capers, and welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. My name is Scott James Merridew, and this is the show where we talk about various geek and nerd-related topics, and are joined each week by a very special different guest. Now, it may be a bit late, but we're finally getting around to Ant-Man and the Wasp. Damn you, different release times for different countries! But our guest today, she is joining us all the way from lovely sunny Venice. I don't know why she's taking time out of our lovely holiday to join us here. Capers, give it up for Alex Mirabal!
Yay, hi!
Did I pronounce that name correctly?
Yes, actually, surprisingly.
I should have checked that before we started recording, but that's because I'm unprofessional.
That's fine. I mean, you got it right, so...
Yeah, so it counts. It's fine. Yeah. It's okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well over here in lovely grey Edinburgh. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. It's hot as hell in Venice, but it's great. It's beautiful.
Ah, Venice, the windy city.
Yeah, it is actually kind of windy.
Oh, there you go. Then. See, I'm right about something. I know geography. So, Alex, before we start talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, let's talk about you a bit. Who are you? What do you do? Justify your existence.
Well, I am a student in the U.S. and from Sarah Lawrence College in New York, and I have been writing and producing podcasts for the last year. Nothing.
And you came here presumably to learn how not to do a podcast.
Well, I've always loved comics, and my dad raised me on mostly Marvel, but I'm actually more of a DC fan, surprisingly.
Betrayer!
Yeah, he. I don't know how it happened. I think it was.
Obviously, that was your teenage rebellion, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He went Marvel, and I was like, I'm gonna.
Young lady, this is a Marvel house, and you will abide by my Marvel rules. You can't tell me what to do, Dad.
Yeah, we've currently been in a battle for the last couple years on trying to sway my little brother to each side.
I'm just imagining your dad like, come on, come to the light, son. We've got Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain America and the Fantastic Four now. It's all good. You're like, no, join the dark side. We've got Wonder Woman and some other stuff which we won't mention. But maybe Shazam will be good. You don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, I got, for his birthday one year, he got my brother... Days of Future Past, the graphic novel version, and I got my brother. I wanted to do something modern, so I got him the new 52 Batman and Robin run.
Why? Do you hate him?
No, because he likes Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne, and so I was like, okay, I'll give you some Damian.
But New 52?
I know. I was. Maybe I think I was a sophomore when I gave him that, so I was very young.
You were young and naive, and you didn't know any better.
I just thought whatever was going on was the hot thing, and it wasn't the hot thing.
Nowadays, whatever's going on is usually the shit thing.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Except for movies, because
yes,
this is the latest in a long run of damn good Marvel movies. I'll be honest, I have one or two problems with this movie, but not enough to actually spoil it. It's a really, really fun movie.
Yeah, I think that it has a lot going for it. definitely enjoyed it more than some other Marvel movies. But I think that it just has like some pacing issues overall.
Yeah, I've got a few other issues, but it's still really fun, and I can say that safe in the security of knowing that I spent a lot of time analysing this movie, having seen it once yesterday.
Well, you got a fresh take on it. I saw it 2 weeks ago, so.
Okay, just rub it in, why don't you? Kick me where I'm down and pour salt in the wounds.
Yeah, it did come out way earlier. But I had to see it before I came here, because there was no way I was going to be able to see it while I was in Europe.
Yes, of course, yeah. Because for some reason, it was really fucking delayed, and I don't know why.
I've never understood the total delay. I think I was in Scotland when The Dark Knight Rises came out, and the way the release schedule came out is that it came out in the US, but it wasn't out in the UK while I was there, and when I got back I was able to see it, but I wasn't able to see it while I was in the UK because it wasn't out in the UK.
Well, here in Scotland we're usually on top of things like that, but maybe that one just fell through the cracks. Was that Dark Knight Rises? You weren't missing much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The only fantastic thing I can say about that is I love Anne Hathaway Catwoman, but everything else is just.
I can think of someone who might disagree with you who's in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the thing. I want to get this out of the way. As soon as we're talking about Marvel and DC, there are two former/current DC alums in this movie. Michelle Pfeiffer, Catwoman, is now playing Janet Van Dyne, and Lawrence Fishburne, who played Perry White in the DCEU. Here's the thing, though. I only found this out recently. Lawrence Fishburne, turns out, bit of a Marvel fan, really likes the MCU, considers himself more of a Marvel guy, and actually approached Marvel a while back about being part of the MCU and pitching them several ideas, and that's why they offered him the role in this movie of Bill Foster, aka Goliath. And it's just
that seems like such an out of left field choice, and I love that they did that.
Yeah, but also it's just like, I'm right now imagining the DCEU as the Titanic, and all the rats are trying to leave the sinking ship.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still holding out hope. I have to have hope. Like that's all I've got right now. Is I have
Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out. Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out. Yeah, Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out.
I am getting Birds of Prey, which is all I could ever want. So as long as it's not as bad as that TV show, I will be happy. Nothing can be as bad as that Birds of Prey TV show.
I keep on hearing stuff that I haven't seen it, but all I know is like it's Huntress, the daughter of Catwoman and Batman, and Oracle and Alfred, and I think someone plays Harleen Quinzel.
Yes, and she's god awful. And there's Black Canaries in it too, but Black Canary has some magic powers that aren't her. And Oracle gets robot legs at some point because they didn't want to leave the actress in the wheelchair. It was a nightmare, and I think it only lasted one season, and it can't ever be as bad as that.
DC has just said, "Hold my beer." Now that you said that. Oh, really? You think that's the worst thing we can do? Okay. That was me cracking my knuckles.
Leadership is shifting, creative. There's a lot of different people coming in and out. Cause I think the only consistent person that's still around is Patty Jenkins. And
thank goodness. Our rock Patty
killed Wonder Woman, so I love her.
Oh God, that's the thing. Wonder Woman right now is the only bright spot in the DC. I saw pictures recently of Gal Gadot visiting a children's hospital and visiting sick kids as Wonder Woman in full costume.
That was 10 miles from my house, at least. Wow. A little bit further, but yeah.
You were within the vague vicinity of Gal Gadot.
My dad grew up in Northern Virginia, which is where they're filming Wonder Woman 84, and they completely changed it to when he was growing up there. It's like they even have obscure grunge and punk stores that totally went out of business that they've brought back and fully refurbished for the movie.
Your dad's like, didn't I just leave this party?
Yeah, it's like they took over a rundown, abandoned mall, and totally redid it, and it's just like exactly like it was in the 80s.
Well, speaking of the 80s, that's when Ant-Man and the Wasp actually begins. I think we should start talking about the actual fucking movie we're here to discuss.
Yeah.
It starts with Hank Pym and Janet Pym, I guess, or Van Dyne, I don't know.
Yeah. I think,
Janet, leaving their daughter Hope to go on a mission for S.H.I.E.L.D. And it turns out, the last movie was someone else playing Janet. They sort of kept it kind of vague. That's who it was, because you didn't see her outside of the costume. Here, she's played by Michelle Pfeiffer. They did the whole de-aging thing with her. Same thing they did with, what's his name? Michael Douglas, and lots of other people in the MCU. And it looks pretty cool.
She looks fantastic.
Well, okay, it's Michelle Pfeiffer. She looks fantastic now.
From what I've heard, all they did to her was makeup, and they had to do CG for Michael Douglas, but for Michelle Pfeiffer, all it was makeup.
Yeah, because that is the power of Michelle Pfeiffer. That's why she was in that song, because she's like, my God. Yeah. Oh God! But she leaves, and of course, being a parent, in a superhero movie, she of course lives a full, long, and happy life. Oops! She gets shrunk down and put in the quantum realm. Oh dear! And this is basically just catching up people who might not have seen the first movie up to speed, which includes the person I went to see this movie with last night, and then we pick up in the present day. Scott Lang has taken, I think it's a plea bargain or plea deal or something, and gets put in house arrest for 2 years because he went to Germany and fought with Captain America and violated the Soviet Accords. And we get told this in exposition, partially by him, but also by Randall Park playing, and I didn't realise this until I left the theatre and started doing some research, Jimmy Woo.
Yep.
I mean, I won't pretend like I'm a massive Jimmy Woo fan, not because I dislike the character, but, just because I'm not like, hey, if I'm going to be a fan of anything in the MCU, it's not going to be Jimmy Woo. But, I'm very sorry, that's not Jimmy Woo!
Yeah, the MCU's always taken, liberties.
Yes, fucking Jasper Sitwell.
Yeah, they never really 100% stuck to what side characters are.
I'm really annoyed with this, because when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first came out, which I still need to go back and start watching again, I wanted Jimmy Woo to be in it. I wanted Jimmy Woo and Jasper Sitwell to be in it, but Jasper Sitwell only got a couple of cameos in it. But I wanted Jimmy Woo to be in it. I thought that would be an interesting character, because there were no characters, as far as I'm aware, that were actual Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually in. There was no Clay Quartermain, there was no Contessa Von Allegra, whatever her fucking name is, there was no Jimmy Woo, and I wanted those characters to be in it, and they weren't, because they wanted to create original characters. Okay, fine. And here we get Jimmy Woo, finally. He's an FBI agent, and he's kind of by the book, much like the character was in the comics, as far as I can remember. But he's mainly played for laughs, because it's Randall Park. So from now on, I shall no longer refer to him as Jimmy Woo. I shall refer to him as Randall Park, because I like Randall Park. He's a fun actor.
Park's fantastic. He's kind of doing a very similar thing than what he just kind of normally does in this movie. So it's Randall Park.
I mean, the scene where he tries to explain to Scott's daughter Cassie what exactly happened. It's like, hey kids, so your dad did a bad thing. He went to Germany and violated Section B, Paragraph 12 of the Soviet Accords, and as a result of a plea deal with the German government, he remains here on house arrest. Does that clear that up?
That's one way to do an exposition dump.
Yeah, it is very exposition-y dumpy, this beginning bit. But also what I like about this movie is it is very down-to-earth.
Yeah, it feels very real.
But here's the thing, though. I like that, and I also don't like that. Because the first movie, what made that really stand out, it was that it was a superhero movie and a heist movie. This is more or less a superhero movie with a bit of a spy, thriller, techno edge. And that's fine, but here's what I kind of wanted from this movie. I wanted it to be like Journey Through the Microverse. I wanted to see us to go on a fantastic voyage with Hope and Scott and Hank going on this huge adventure to find Janet Van Dyne. And we kind of get that, but that's not really what the focus is.
It's built up so much, and then it finally happens. You're like, okay, this is like 5 minutes of the entire movie.
Yeah, and I feel like they kind of missed a trick with this, but at the same time, like, I thoroughly believe one of my philosophies is that you should never judge a movie by what you want it to be. You should judge it by what it is. So I'm going to leave my disappointment aside for that matter and just focus on what this movie actually does well and what it doesn't do well. And what it does do well is Ant-Man. Paul Rudd is great as Scott Lang. Apparently he tried to play him just like as a regular dude who happens to have like a suit that lives in shrink and stuff. And that's really what he is, because he's bumming around the house and being really lovely with his daughter and trying to be a good dad, and he's trying to be on the straight and narrow because he's under house arrest, and it's kind of fun. And he's playing drums, he's throwing balls around, he's taking a bath, okay, sure. And but then suddenly he closes his eyes, drifts off a little bit. Uh-oh, he's back in the quantum realm, and he sees, is that Janet Van Dyne? Uh-oh, he's quantum entangled, demented.
Science words.
Yes, science words, basically, yeah. And it turns out that, oh God, you know, Janet might still be alive. So he's got to call Hank and Hope. Uh-oh, he's sort of been a bit estranged from them because he went to Germany to fight with Captain America without their permission, stole a suit from them, and and because of that, they basically have had to go on the run. And they were planning in the last movie to build a quantum tunnel to find Janet and get her back. And they've had to sort of put that plan kind of on hold because they've had to go on the run because of what he did, and they're not really happy about that. And here's the thing, they are 100% justified in that.
Oh yeah, I absolutely do not blame them for being mad at Scott. It is 100% his fault.
Because it would have been so easy for him to try and justify it by saying, no, I had to do what was right and you're in the wrong for not supporting me, and the million other bullshit arguments they can make, but they focus on the one right argument, which is like, hey, I got a call, I thought it was the right thing to do at the time, but I didn't think about how it would affect other people, which is a fault of mine, and I'm really sorry because I've kind of buggered things up for you guys. And I'm like, yeah, you did. Now you have to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like obvious that like Scott is so blinded by the fact that it was Captain America that like I don't think anyone explained to him why he was actually there. Yeah. I don't think he knew what was going on.
Yeah. Well, when we first see him in Civil War, he's like asleep. He's like, time difference.
He has no idea what's happening.
You can tell he's such a fanboy because he's like hands of his shoes, like, I believe this is yours, Captain America. When Captain America throws his mighty shield. Anyway, but it turns out that Pym and Hope have not been resting on their laurels this whole time. They've been busy. They've been working on the quantum tunnel thing. But here's the thing: these movies introduce technology that enables them to shrink and grow anything they want at will. This movie takes full fucking advantage of this. It does not let this brilliant idea go to waste.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think that like it's great, and I'm glad that they use that technology on Evangeline Lilly's hair, and we didn't have to have that god awful haircut anymore.
That Edna Mode haircut.
I hated it. That was my least favorite part of the first movie.
No, that Kate Blanchett and that stupid Indiana Jones movie.
Yes, that's exactly what that is. She did not look good in it, and I'm glad they let her use normal human hair, like her own hair in this movie, and let her grow it out a little bit. And she looked good.
She looked like human and not like a synthoid off the production line from the Tyrell Industries.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But anyway, she's normal hair now, and there was a bit of a romance, kind of rushed in the last movie. between her. But that's over now because, hey, he fucking betrayed her. But they sort of, what happens is Scott phones them on sort of like I think it's a burner phone, saying, "Hey, so I had a vision of Janet being alive, so just want to let you guys know that. I'm really sorry. Bye-sies." And then he wakes up later, and he's in a teeny tiny car being driven by Hope.
That was so cool. I loved that.
But wait, I have an ankle monitor. How the hell did you get around that? There's an ankle monitor and a giant ant that's been programmed to go around the house doing the things that Scott did.
Yeah, that's something that does make me question how they got it off, because if they shrunk Scott, does the ankle monitor not shrink with him, but his clothes do? So
now you've ruined it.
Do they do technology to get it off and then put it on, turn it back on again, or is it just they just oh, we don't want to think about it?
There's a giant ant eating cereal on the couch, and Michael Pena walks in and is like, "Whoa, Scott, is that you?" What's not to love about that?
Yeah, no, that was. I love that ant. I love when the ants getting personality, and I love how good they look. That could very easily look awful and be kind of, especially since it was meant to be a gag. I don't think they needed to put as much money into making that look good as they did, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it is a movie called Ant-Man. If they didn't have a lot of focus on the ants, it would be, because they were kind of a big focus on the last movie, because they were tools to help them break into this place. And there was Anthony in the arms of the angel. Anthony, no. I'm over it. But and also should point out Louise is back. Louise? I
think it's Louise.
Michael Pena. Michael Pena is back, as well as T.I. and that Russian guy. I can't ever remember his name.
Yeah.
And they're now on the straight and narrow. They're working as a security consultants or security company called XCon Consulting Security, whatever, which is pretty funny. I'm glad he's got these characters back, just because they're really funny. And these movies they are action, they are superheroes, but they do have a very strong focus on comedy compared to a lot of other Marvel movies that have comedy but aren't really focused on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked them in the first movie, but it definitely felt like they were kind of using them just to be like, hey, remember how funny these guys were last time? Ha 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 ha. And I can't get over the very constant. I mean, it's kind of just what Michael Pena does a lot anyway. But hey, look, I'm
Michael
Mexican.
Pena either does really silly stuff or surprisingly serious stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but when he's funny, he's he very much, and I think that's an issue with having a lot of white writers, is having the fact that he's always going to be the funny Hispanic man, and I'm Hispanic, and that always rubbed me the wrong way of him just having the fallback is always, haha, he has an accent, haha, his family is so weird because they're a different culture. And I don't know, I think that I think they could have used them better in this movie. I don't think they were used very well.
Yeah, I do get it. It doesn't seem they do anything particularly new. I mean, towards the end of the movie, they used Michael Pena a bit more in some terms of action scenes, but they kind of used him similarly in the last one anyway. Although it did give us possibly one of the best yet stupidest lines in the movie, Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga. Is that the person who flies around on a mortar and pestle, or is that the person who has a house that has chicken feet?
She's the one with that house that has chicken feet, and I only know that because I played the DLC for Rise of the Tomb Raider, where there was a whole Baba Yaga segment.
Well, I mean, okay. I don't play Tomb Raider, especially not the recent one, because the first new Tomb Raider had a bit of a reputation. Are the later ones any better?
I don't know. I had fun with them. I think got into them because I watched the movie and I was like, oh, I like Laura. Lara. She's cool. So
Laura
I know.
Croft.
I messed that up real bad.
I mean, she's very similar to that other guy. What's his name? Jason Bond.
Yeah. Yeah, good old Jason.
Jason Bond. Yeah. But anyway, focusing.
Yes.
They kidnap Scott and they bring him back to their lab, which is a giant building that they can shrink and carry around on little tiny wheels.
And it's got the like pull thing from Suitcases. I love that.
This is so creative.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant, and again, we don't really question the science of it all.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Like, what came first, the building or the suitcase parts of the building?
Did they have to attach that? Oh, see, that would
Did
go
they
down the
shrink
round.
it? Did they shrink the building and then add the parts, or was the building already small? They build a small building and then make it big.
I don't know. How do they manage the electrical capacities of that thing? How does it tie into thing? How does it not fall over?
It always has full power. No matter where they open it, in like the middle of the woods or the middle of the city, it always has full power. I'm having trouble walking around Venice I don't have Wi-Fi on my phone. I can't contact anyone. How the hell do they go out in the middle of the woods with that building and still have any kind of power?
I don't know. But here's the thing. They have had, like, Hank and Hope have had 2 years to develop and perfect this technology. So, I don't know, maybe they found a way. But we won't question that. What we will focus on is the fact that it turns out the reason why Scott had his little vision is because they opened the quantum tunnel for like a split second, and that's what made the connection. And so they kidnapped him to say, hey, so we're actually going to find our mum and our wife, and you're going to help us. Oh, but I'm under house arrest. Do it. No, do it. No, do it. Who cares? But and so turns out they just need this one part, and it's like, okay, you know what? I owe you guys because of everything that happened in Germany and such like. So I'll help you out this one time. But it turns out they don't need too much help from him because Hope's got a Wasp outfit.
I love this outfit. I love the helmet. I
love it. I like the helmet. I like the wings. I like the little wrist blaster she's got. I don't really like the main body of the outfit because, like, the Wasp outfit from more recent years, it's like black and it's got these yellow bits on it. It looks really cool. And this one looks kind of dull and muted. Like, the helmet looks good.
It's got the obligatory boob cups, but that's just indicative of all superhero stuff.
Oh, God. That's a whole other conversation.
That is a problem for everything and not just this movie.
Hey, I'm Power Girl. Do you know what I'm going to do? I cut a big fucking hole right in my chest so people can see my cleavage. Why? Because I can.
These are the targets you have to shoot for, baddies.
The worst offender is fucking Red Sonja. Whatever. Because she's just wearing like a chainmail. I think I've talked about this on the show before, but I'm going to talk about it again because fuck it. Because she just wears a chainmail bikini, and it's like, because if I fight people in this, they get distracted, and that means that I'll have an advantage. There are so many problems with that. 1, people could still get in lucky shots. 2, what if someone's firing an arrow at you, and as it hits you directly on the boob, it's going to cause some damage. 3, what if you fight another woman who is not interested in other women? Like, she's not going to care very much. What if she fights a gay man? What if she fights another species of, like, creature or something that has no interest in the human species whatsoever, that isn't going to get distracted at all? What about just the natural elements? What if she's going through a wood and there's branches and shit? Just wear the fucking full armor. It doesn't have to be massive armor, but just decent fucking armor. You're supposed to be a fucking warrior. This is not going to work. You cannot use beachwear when you're going into battle. If I went into battle wearing a fucking Speedo or a mankini, like, just because it works for Sean Connery doesn't mean it's gonna work for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of really poor excuses for that kind of stuff. I know there's one character in Metal Gear Solid 5 where she's mostly naked because she breathes through her skin.
Oh,
so if she's
quiet.
covered up, oh god, I like. And it's like, meanwhile, there's a guy, same condition, can wear all the clothes he wants.
It's just like here's the, I've never understood, like I've never wanted to be sexually tantalized when I'm reading a comic or watching a movie. Like, that's not something I don't want to say, oh, it's a superhero, but she's also sexy, so I can enjoy it too. No, can I just not have a superhero character, please, that dresses like a superhero? Not, because it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's the misconception that it still will sell more if the women look good, which I don't think is the case as much anymore. But
no, maybe back like in the 50s or the 60s, where comics were seen as just exclusively for kids. So if a character looks particularly sexy, it's like, oh, maybe we'll get the teenagers involved. But now, the kids and the teenagers and the young adults and the mid-20s, late 20s, early 20s and 30s, 40s, 50s, everyone is reading comics, everyone is watching superhero movies. We don't need that. That's cheap. It's a gimmick. We don't need it anymore. And that's not to say that female characters can't be sexy. That's fine. But it is very situational and context dependent. And this is something that Hope Van Dyne, the Wasp, does not need to be, because she's fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, she's like, there's no part of Hope in my mind that would use sex as a weapon. Like, she's got enough weapons.
Oh yeah, because
she doesn't need sex.
Yeah, because like then in comes into the movie, strolling in from Lara Croft, Walton Goggins. I always call him Walter Goggins, but because Walton just doesn't sound like an actual name to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm English. I don't know names, but and he's trying to be like, hey, we've got like a relationship. He's like, give me the part, please. I've given you money, now give me the part. Yeah, but we need to talk. Here, have a drink. Sit down. Just give me the fucking part, please, before I stun you in the face with my wrist blasters. And it turns out that he is, turns out when you deal with criminals, big shock, they're going to do criminals things. And it turns out he knows exactly who she is because he's got a contact in the FBI, and he's going to basically saying, hey, so I know you've got a bunch of technology and stuff like that. I want to get my hands on it. Let's do a deal. It's like, no, I want this part. Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to keep the part and I'm going to keep the money. Deal with it. She's like, okay, I will deal with it. Shazam! Bam! Boom! Boom! Boom!
Yeah, I wish that was the last we saw of him.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the last we saw of him, but then he keeps popping up for the rest of the movie.
Coming back. I was like, just go away already. Your moment is gone. Your necessity in this plot is over.
You're finished. We're done with you. You fulfilled your purpose. Now kindly leave so we can focus on characters we actually care about.
Exactly.
He's like, all he wants is to get his hands on the lab, and other characters also want to get their hands on the lab, the FBI and other people, and so it basically just becomes like it's a mad world.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we'll get to it, but there's so many villains to this story that it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting whiplash. We're just kind of going back and forth. Who am I supposed to be afraid of now?
But it is cool because we see we get to see the Wasp suit in action. We get to see Scott's reaction to it and Hank's reaction to Scott's reaction and stuff like that. And it is really cool. But then I thought it was just gonna be like, okay, so this is the Wasp's fight scene. Then Ant-Man puts on the suit and joins in. And yes, it is really cool to see them fighting together. But can we not, like, for this one bit, like, just have Wasp on her own? I know the movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp, but we've already had plenty of Ant-Man fight scenes. Now let's focus on the Wasp, please. Yeah. Just for this bit at least.
I mean, I almost actually didn't want to see the first movie because of their complete, like, Janet's not that important when she's literally one of the founding members of the Avengers. It's like, no, are we not going to talk about this? Janet's incredibly important. The Wasp is
She was
so
the one
important.
that, I think she was the one that called them Avengers, at least in one of the cartoons I've seen.
Yeah.
She comes up with the name, like,
She was so important, and they just gloss over her to make, and I'm sure they, like, wanted to get rid of her so they never had to deal with the situation that was Hank Pym and, like, his whole abusive deal. And now, I don't know if they're ever going to address it. I doubt they will, because she was gone for so long. But it is incredibly frustrating that she had to suffer because they wanted to they didn't want to deal with Hank being a bad guy.
And then they brought in Hope Van Dyne, who was the, I don't want to say perfect, an ideal workaround, which meant that they could have this character, but they didn't even use her in the first movie. They just teased it. Which I kind of understand. You want to focus on Ant-Man, but then again, like, you could have done Ant-Man and the Wasp 1 then, and then we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 now. I think there's a way you could have done that.
I feel like this movie could have just been the Wasp, and then Scott would come in between, because Scott's, like, not super needed for a lot of this movie. They grab him, like, hey, we need you for this. Come help us.
Fulfill your contractual obligations.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, maybe we'll get a spin-off or something, because I think I've heard that they're working on a Black Widow origin solo movie, or at least a solo movie, and I'm looking forward to that, because I wanted that for years.
They can't have ScarJo. I think she's become I don't know the word right now, but she's become like a plague. Like, she has gotten so much heat from taking roles she shouldn't take that if they do a Black Widow solo movie with her, I think it's gonna bomb.
I don't know
I think they need to, if they're gonna do a prequel, if they're gonna do it way before, they have to do someone else, do like a teenage version of her.
I think that might be the best way to go anyway, if they're going to go an origin movie direction. If they do a solo spin-off Black Widow movie, then maybe keep Scarlett Johansson. But the problem with casting, whether it's whitewashing or non-transgender actors playing transgender characters, I think that part of the problem is, yes, these actors should not be taking these roles, but also they do have contractual obligations to certain studios. People do sign multi-picture deals, which they kind of have to stick by, but also, like, maybe these characters should be written better, written with certain people in mind much more clearly, much more definitively, and also the people who actually cast these movies should cast people that are actually appropriate for the fucking role.
Oh yeah, and actually, and open it up to those people instead of just being like, well, this is a big name, we'll sub them in.
Yeah, because you know who would be great to play the fucking who am I thinking? Okay, so let's no, that's to do it. I'm trying to get just so many. Who would be great? Who would be great to play the Tiger Lily? Who would be great? Let's get this fucking white chick, even though none of the other people in her tribe are actually fucking white.
Yeah.
I'm still not over that.
Oh gosh, I haven't seen Rooney Mara do much else since that movie. So.
And I don't necessarily blame them, but at the same time, like, I think who is it? The guy from Deadpool and was briefly in Game of Thrones. British actor, creepy looking, but still quite good. Oh god.
The villain from the first one?
The villain from Deadpool, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Apparently, he was up for a role that was not meant for a white person, and he flat out refused to do it. This is what I've heard.
Yes, I have heard about that. Yeah, I do remember that. I don't remember exactly what that role was, but I was glad. He was like, I had no idea this character was supposed to be Asian or whatever, and sorry, and he just backed off. He did the right thing. He would have been in so much trouble if he had kept that role.
Yeah, but also, like, he may have been in trouble if he backed off. This is the problem, because if an actor backs out of a movie and breaks their contract, that can severely damage the career. So they're sort of in in a rock and a hard place type scenario, which is not to say that it excuses them accepting these roles. I think Scarlett Johansson saying, yes, I will play a transgender character, despite the fact that there are so many transgender actors who would be so much better to play that character. I don't know what the character is or what the nature of the role is, but I can safely say that, I think. But if they break their contract, and I don't know if she does have a contract, that is the thing, but if she did, then that would also damage her career. So I understand that it is a difficult scenario to be in, but it's one of those things where you say, like, if we have to get better as a society that makes films and makes art that reflects humanity, maybe you do have to sort of take one for the team. And I don't want to have to say, like, yes, Scarlett Johansson, you should damage your career for the rest of us. At the same time, that would be the better, more nobler thing to do. And granted, I have never been in that scenario, and so it's easy for me to say, and it's much more difficult if you're in that scenario. But it's one of those things, it's like one thing that Jon Stewart says, if you drop your principles when it becomes hard, then they're not principles, they're hobbies. Mm-hmm. And so that's a whole other discussion that we sort of segued into.
I don't expect that movie to be good anyway, because it's directed by the same guy who directed Ghost in the Shell and Snow White and the Huntsman.
Well, then why are we worried? Why are we worried?
It's not going to be a good movie even if they do cast a trans person. It's just, I think if they do even continue with this movie, that guy's got to go.
That guy and the guy who suggested that the upcoming Disney remake of Mulan be focused around a white guy meeting Mulan.
Oh my gosh, and they get rid of Shang entirely because they're scared that people will think he's bisexual.
Who gives a fuck? Oh my god, fucking...
Shang is not in the movie. They cast the love interest, and he is someone who is not Shang.
Oh, so that's different, because I knew they got rid of the whole white guy plot, but I didn't know...
But they kept the whole, it's not Shang. He's gone. And there's no music either, and apparently no Mushu. It's not Mulan anymore.
Fucking Disney. Fucking Disney. Oh, God. I tell you what, Christopher Robin better fucking knock it out of the park.
Yeah, Disney needs to stop with the live-action movies.
Disney needs to stop with the movies!
They're getting enough money from Marvel and Star Wars. They don't need to make their own movies anymore. Maybe Pixar can be their only movie department from now on.
Yeah, oh God, we're getting way off track.
Yeah, we are. Absolutely.
We need more female-led superhero movies, just stand alone. We need better costumes. Moving on.
Yes.
And so they fight, and did they get the technology that they need? No. What happens is they're attacked by this creepy-looking extra from that Tom Cruise movie Oblivion. Who's like sort of intangible and phasing in and out of reality, but she fights him and she looks really cool. And I have to say, the costume for this character looks really cool.
It is creepy and unsettling, but it's also like the total white palette is like
that must be a nightmare to keep clean.
Oh yeah. She's beating up on all these guys and there's blood everywhere. Like, you gotta phase through the blood. That's how you stay clean.
Their dry cleaning bill, oh my god. And so that's when Scott jumps into the fray, and that's they help each other fight off this ghost, as it becomes known. But the ghost gets away with the Pims' portable lab, the building lab thing, and so it means, oh god, we need some help. Well, who can we go to help? Well, there's Captain America's Underground Resistance. No. We're gonna find Bill Foster. Yay, Goliath! And played by Lawrence Fishburne, who just looks so happy to be here. He really does. Yeah, this is what a good superhero movie looks like.
He really got into this role. I could feel him having a lot of fun with it, and I was it definitely was weird to me when I was first watching it, and that first scene that he's in, that I'm like, okay, that's kind of a waste of Lawrence Fishburne. Is that all he's doing?
Oh, the stuff gets revealed later on. And here's the
Yeah.
thing: when it comes to Marvel movies, I don't do any research. I don't look up who's in it. I don't watch the trailers because I want to experience it in its full. So I did not know Michelle Pfeiffer or Lawrence Fishburne were going to be in this movie. So when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" And it's so cool because Bill Foster in the comics is a superhero who could grow giant. He was Goliath, and I thought, are they going to mention that? They do! And it turns out he was part of the Goliath Project. He's part of S.H.I.E.L.D., work with Hank. And
Well, he was under that trend of putting black in front of every black character. He was Black Goliath for a while. I think they dropped the
God.
black.
Why? What does that have to do with anything? Like Black Lightning, I kind of get it.
Is there another Goliath? Why do you need to specify?
Yeah, are we going to confuse him with the biblical character all of a sudden? Oh my god, he's back! No, I'm different. How could we possibly know that? I'm black. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh god, but it's also cool because he has a moment with Scott where they exchange notes on getting big and how it was like. It's like, my record was so and so feet. My record was like 65 feet. Whoa, damn. Did you get really tired? Yeah, I got so tired. And it's great because I think if two people that had similar powers met in real life, that's a sort of a conversation they would have.
Oh, absolutely. That's it's, and I like that it does talk about how stressed, it just in that conversation, how stressful it is on the body to have those powers and be able to get really big. And that was something I really enjoyed of The Incredibles when they did it, was that they have these powers, but it's still is a physical thing they're doing with their body, and they get tired.
Yeah, because when they go to, in the first movie, when they go to the island, and his Dash has been basically speeding him on Mrs. Incredible boat, Elastico boat, and then they both collapse on the beach because they're both really tired from stretching, and B from basically being an outboard motor for presumably hours, because it's daylight when they start going, and then it's nighttime when they get to the island.
Yeah, and then you can hear Helen straining when she's getting really long, and I love that stuff when they actually identify that this is strenuous. They can't just keep going all the time.
Yeah, because if you expand or decrease and shrink your mass and your molecules at will, that is going to have an effect. It's not going to be nothing. And the fact and it also means it gives these powers reasonable limitations, because otherwise he could just grow big anytime and deal with any problem he likes whenever he likes, and they can't do that because that would break the movie.
Oh yeah, I mean that, and then you can't shrink, so it the giving the reasonable. I do enjoy that they gave a reason why they can't go small either, doing that you probably won't come back. Because that would have given a very easy way to break Infinity War.
Because when you have these rules and this law, it makes it more realistic. It means okay, here's what you can do, great. Here's what you can't do, great. And it gives the ideas structure, and it means we can more easily accept the world.
Yes. Yeah. It just makes the world feel more real, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and so Ghost makes off with the lab. They go to Bill Foster and says, "Okay, you know what? I've got a way where you can track the lab because plot convenience. Even though I hate you, Hank, because we had a real big falling out." And this is where I thought they were going to go into the darker side of Hank Pym. Maybe it's his own ego that's been responsible for most of the tragedy in his life.
Yeah,
and they
I definitely thought it was going to be maybe they were gonna move that abuse away from Janet because Janet wasn't around for so long, and put it onto his friends and the people that trusted him and tried to get him through the tragedy of losing his wife.
But no, it's sort of like it pays lip service to it, like it homages it, but it doesn't really go as far as it needed to go. It doesn't explore like the full ramifications of the darker side of Hank Pym, his ego, and as a result of that, he basically remains the same character throughout the movie. Like, it's a good performance by Michael Douglas, but this character does not get any significant development.
Yeah, he doesn't really grow at all, and it's definitely it's the development is, I guess, saved for Scott and Hope, but
even then, because it's a problem I have with Hope. I've maybe this is me talking out of my arse. Maybe I'm worried about nothing, but I'm kind of worried that Hope is sort of always defined by other people, whether it's her relationship with her dad, or a relationship with Scott, or a relationship with her mum. We rarely get to see Hope sort of independent of all these elements. And yeah, Scott has a relationship with Hope and with his daughter and with other people, but we also see him like just on his own. We understand his character independent of all these external aspects, and I'm worried that it's just Hope. Once you take away these other aspects, we don't really know who she is.
Yeah, she always has the same opinion as someone else. She doesn't have her own opinion.
Or worse,
there's always someone else that she's like, oh yes, I'm gonna latch onto you.
Or she does disagree with them, but that disagreement is always done just because of this other characters. Like, I disagree with you, not because I have my own philosophies or my own perspective, but just because we need someone to be in opposition to your perspective.
We need some kind of conflict here.
And it's worrying. It is worrying, especially considering the fact that she is a titled character. This is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I'm not saying she's a bad character. I think this is just problematic.
Yeah, I think that if she does get more spotlight on her own, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, she in order for that to happen, I think she needs to be totally away from everyone so she can have her own ability to grow. Because otherwise, it's just gonna be, you know, Scott and Hope, or Hope and Hank, or Hope and Janet, and it's never gonna be just Hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But using the technology that they get from Bill, or like this tip they get from Bill, they're able to locate the ghost in a sort of lab in a sort of spooky place. But funnily enough, they managed to restrain them, and she's revealed to be a lady. Not only a lady, but a really bad actor from Killjoys.
I didn't know that. I had not recognized her before, but yeah, she's awesome.
Here's the thing though, she's awesome in this movie, but I've seen not a lot of Killjoys, but a bit, because they look kind of cool. And I'll be honest, I did not like her performance in that TV show, especially when she's like opposite. I think is it Aaron or Sean Ashmore, one of the Ashmores, who's giving a really good performance, and she's just she was really not good, but she's good in this one, thankfully.
Yeah.
And it turns out she is the ghost who in the comics is a man. They gender flipped her. Take that, society. And it turns out that her dad used to work with Hank, but he got fired by Hank because he disagreed with him. Oh, really? Actually, no. It turns out in a throwaway line that he stole technology from him. So it's not really Hank's fault. Ugh. And he built his own quantum tunnel, shrinking technology stuff. But it went wrong and exploded, which meant that he died, his wife died, but their daughter sort of became like out of shift with reality and stuff, and kept on going into a quantum state and being in flux. So she's basically just going to fade away one day and die.
Tracer, it's fine.
Oh yeah, she's Tracer. Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't realise that until you just said it.
She's Tracer in space instead of time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And because of that, she's desperately trying to find a cure. And because of that, she went. Bill Foster approached her, and they de-age Bill Foster as well, and it looks so cool. And he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you," but because he worked for Shield, like heard of this little girl with superpowers, and thought, "Hey, I know what we should do. Let's exploit her." And they basically turned her into this assassin person. They basically turned her into a Winter Soldier, actually, just using ghosting powers.
That seems to be a common thread in Marvel movies. Don't know what to do with this person? Soldier.
Yeah. But then, of course, S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed, and so she was left with no one, and it turns out S.H.I.E.L.D. promised to cure her, but of course they never did. Like, okay, here's the thing. if I got superpowers that were killing me, and I needed a cure, and a big espionage paramilitary organization approached me and said, hey, we'll cure you, but only if you work for us and do things with us involving your powers, I would not trust them because they have no reason to cure me.
Yeah, and like, something that confused me when she was talking about her backstory and what happened to her and what they did to her, I think she said that they promised they were going to kill her. That, like, if she did everything for them, they would let her die. And she would be done with it. But maybe I just heard her wrong and she said cure her.
I heard something completely different. It is difficult when you've got a British actor giving a performance with a British accent who's supposed to be Argentinian.
Yeah.
And if you know the history between our two countries, you know that that's going to be a bit problematic.
I mean, Tom Hardy tried to do it. Going back to Dark Knight Rises.
Gotham is yours! It doesn't matter who we are, what matters is our plan. This is a real voice that an actual person would have.
That was supposedly Argentinian.
Really? I did not know that. Oh, God. I mean, I didn't recognize it as Argentinian, but then you go, oh my God. Oh dear. But and so she's got them, three of them captured in her lair, and it's basically saying, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build my own tunnel to the quantum realm, while they steal yours. Okay, well then we've got the same plan, right? No, because she wants to steal the quantum energy from Janet Van Dyne to stabilize her. And then they were like, but that'll rip her apart. And then Bill Foster walks in and says, oh, no, it won't. Because I've been working with her all along, and I've been trying to help her, and we're going to do this thing which sounds really bad, but I have reason to believe that it won't. Okay, what are those reasons? I'm not going to say. Well, because, like, if we could find a way
about they don't know if Janet actually has been storing power. They don't know if she actually is still alive, or if this is just some kind of memory of her. They don't know anything, but everyone is going in with, like, all this certainty.
Yeah, and I feel like if they just sat down and talked for, like, okay, could this work? Because here they have a way to get what both parties want. Ava Starr, the ghost, wants to be cured. They want to get Hope back. If there is a way, in all possibility, to get both of those things, they should be working together. But because of plot convenience and needless conflict, they don't talk about it, and so they escape by unleashing a whole swarm of ants on Bill Foster. It is so cool to see Lawrence Fishburne interacting with giant CGI ants. I'm sorry, I just find that hilarious.
Yeah.
And they escape, and did they get they get the lab back?
Yes, I mean they essentially, like, everyone is trying to get the lab.
Everyone get the
It passes hands like a million times before we finally get back to the plot.
And they've managed to open up the quantum tunnel a little bit, but something goes wrong, and then Scott just sort of drifts off a bit, comes back, and it turns out it's Michelle Pfeiffer in Scott's body.
That was so funny. Oh my gosh, Paul Rudd did such a good job with that.
I mean, especially considering the fact that we know very little about this character. We had one scene with her, maybe like one and a bit scenes with her in the first half of the movie, like where we see her in the 1980s, and that's it. That's all we have to go on. And there is another problem with this movie, is that the character of Janet is not very well defined. We don't know a lot about what she is. You know, she's really nice and sweet.
She's a
and
smart, nice lady.
Yeah, and that's basically it. There is, well, I'll get on to more of that later. So to have a character, and it's obvious that he's playing a lady, but this is essentially the first extended period of time we're spending with this character since going into the quantum realm, and it's mainly played for laughs, just to see her, like, stroke Hope's hair and hold hands with Hank, and it's just it's kind of funny, but it's also like she gives them the necessary info they need to lock onto a signal in the quantum realm, and they get her precise location, but they've got a time limit before the quantum realm shifts due to wibbly wobbly quantumy rhymey. And
or else it'll be another 2,000 years before she's in the right place or something like that.
It's like 100 years, but even so,
how do you know that?
How do you?
There's nothing to tell you that you like. There is no reason. Like was it just random that she's in that spot close? She was close enough to contact Scott in the first place. Is this just all massive coincidences?
How did she work that out? She didn't have a pen and paper or a calculator with her. Like even the most advanced scientist needs something to do the maths on.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, but and then Walton Goggins learns about the location because he goes to Michael Pena and the comedic sidekicks, and he gives them truth serum. There's no such thing as truth serum. It sounds like there's truth serum, and that is kind of funny. That is kind of funny.
I mean, I think that for me was the scene that just went on way too long.
Yeah, because we know what we're leading up to. We're leading up to them giving Michael Pena the truth serum and him going into the whole joke from the last movie with him talking about things. And he's like a human jukebox. You just got to let him play it out. And it was funny, but again, it was nothing we haven't seen before. And they learn the location, so they go there, and but they don't deal with like Michael Pena and the rest of them. They give them perfectly open to warn them. Like they don't shoot them, they don't restrain them or gag them or call the police on them. They just leave them.
They call the FBI and then leave, and they're like, we're done for now. We'll come back later when we feel like it.
And they also so they warn Jimmy Woo, Randall Park, who goes to quickly rushes to Scott's house to find that. No, he makes his way back there, doesn't he? He makes his way back there, and it's a running gag for the movie. Like he always makes it just back in the nick of time before Randall Park shows up. It's like, okay, this is getting a little bit old now, and it's a great scene though, because Pym and Hope leave the giant lab thing, shrink it down, and when they shrink it down, it reveals like the FBI has surrounded them, and that was a pretty cool shot.
Oh yeah. It's like you think that all the FBI is actually going to Scott's house, and so you have no idea that they actually found the building too. I mean, it's not hard to miss, but
considering about that it's in the middle of the fucking woods.
Yeah.
And so the lab gets taken by this corrupt FBI agent who's been working with Walton Goggins all this time, and he gets killed pretty quickly by the ghost. Like, oh no, that nameless antagonist guy who I didn't know, and like, fine, yeah, sure.
He's like the only person who dies in this movie, right? Other than random ants.
oh god, yeah, we'll get to that. Oh jeez. Yeah, and the lab gets taken. But again, it's like I say, they're basically playing hot potato with this whole building, which is funny, but like, okay. That's another thing. This movie is repetitive, and it's funny, and it's good, and it's stuff we like, but at the same time, it's like, come on, guys, let's see something new. And
most of the plot is we have to get the lab back.
Yeah, and that's when the rest of the movie, that's what the last third of the movie is. That Scott breaks Pym and Hope out of custody, and they get to the lab, and then that means that Ant-Man and the Wasp have to distract the ghost, while Hank Pym goes into this big this ship thing and goes into the quantum realm. And that's a pretty good setup, I think, for a final act. I think that's a good, different people doing different things, sort of a delegation of duties, as it were.
Yeah, it's where they try to bring in the heist again.
Yeah. Or
the heist aspect from the first movie. I mean, of course, it's like way condensed and doesn't have the same feeling as the first movie, but it's definitely like that's where I think they were going with that.
Yeah, and so they're fighting the ghost, and they're fighting Walter Goggins, and they're going through it's San Francisco, isn't it? Yeah, it's San Francisco.
Yeah.
They're going through, they're fighting, and, they're getting bigger, and they're getting smaller, and also, it turns out for the whole movie that Scott's suit, has been malfunctioning slightly. So when they have to go to get a part, or they have to get a suit and stuff from his daughter's school earlier in the movie.
He was using an old suit that was Hank's. No, it was a new suit. It was a new suit that Hank was building, and the old suit supposedly Scott had gotten rid of, but he didn't, and so they had to go get it because it was in the trophy that was at Cassie's school because she wanted to do
Show and tell.
Show and tell, yeah.
And he gets shrunk down to the size of a little kid, and that's funny.
Yeah, the teacher comes out and he's like, "Where's your hall pass?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't care."
And this is here's the thing. Growing up in the British education system, we did not have hall passes. Like if you saw a kid in the hall, maybe you'd ask why they were there, but maybe most of the time you just assumed they had fairly decent reason. We didn't give passes to children for ease of access.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing with me. They just kind of sent you with another kid, so it was like honor system that both kids would rat out the other one. If
but
they
also,
really...
like, this is an elementary school, or I don't know, a fucking middle school. Because again, British education system, we only have 2 schools, like primary and secondary, and that's it. And so, would you really give one of these passes to a little kid who's like, I don't know, 10?
Yeah, you can't trust that they'll come back in a timely manner.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, that was funny. So they've had this problem throughout the whole movie, and that comes back later on here with him getting bigger and smaller and stuff, and it's pretty funny. And it also mixes up the fight sequences, because it's basically just a big car chase, but with Ant-Man and Wasp and Michael Pena and tiny cars and big cars and all sorts, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really good action sequence.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I like when he gets stuck really big and he has to go with do the skateboard truck.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, Hank's going through the quantum realm, sees the tardigrades, and goes even smaller. Manages to get into the quantum realm. Gets a vision of him in his old house with his daughter and Scott and Bill Foster, and finally finds Janet. And she's got her the suit that she was wearing previously, but it's got a cloak on it, and she's got this sword thing. And this is the thing.
Where did she get this stuff?
Where did she get this stuff? But also, that's the biggest question I have from this movie. What was Janet Van Dyne up to in the quantum realm for 30 fucking years? How did she live?
She didn't need to eat, because I'm assuming there's no food there. Why did she still age? Why was that a thing?
How did she age? How did she survive? And also, the biggest question I have is, how has being alone and stuck in a quantum realm of essentially another universe that's completely alien to her own changed her in the past 30 years? And as far as we're aware, it hasn't. She seems fine.
Yeah, she's the same person, except she can do weird science magic.
Let's compare this to the TV series Angel, where they go to another dimension and they meet this character Fred, played by Amy Acker, who has been stuck in this world which isn't too dissimilar from her own world. It's just got a couple of monsters in it, and she is fucking balls to the wall, crazy Eddie in the heady.
Yeah, I mean, and
Janet for a few years. Janet's been in the quantum realm for 30 years.
Yeah, and she warns Hank that it's gonna mess him up. She's like, "Yeah, people go crazy," and I'm like, "Did you not go crazy? How are you okay?"
And this is why I think they should have met up with her and gone into the quantum realm maybe halfway through the movie. Mm-hmm. Halfway through the second act, that's when they find her. Then it's all about getting out of the quantum realm, and maybe she'll become a hindrance or an antagonistic force, or maybe help her, but she's got to deal with her own problems, and we get so little time devoted to this character. And I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer does a good job playing her, but then again, I think as far as acting roles go, that's a fairly easy job, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much there, and I would have loved to see, if they were going to do it that short, I would have loved to see an example of a character who did go crazy. Because as far as we know, the only 2 people that have actually gone there are Scott and Janet and Hank now, and none of them, Hank had a little bit of a problem, Scott had a little bit of a problem, but it wasn't anything that big of a deal.
Yeah, and Because the issue is that she is the MacGuffin of the movie. She is what our three main characters are driving. She is their objective. That's what the whole thing is based around. And there's other characters with other motivation, but that is the nucleus of this movie, and it's just so, well, two-dimensional. And it's kind of disappointing. And then we get Walton Goggins gets his hands on the lab, and they chase him around, and they chase him into the bay, and he goes onto like a ferry, and that means that Scott goes giant, and that's great, and it's fun, and it's really cool. It's nothing we haven't seen before.
Yeah, I mean, and you didn't see it, but it was in the trailer. That was like in every single trailer was Scott getting that big. Yeah,
but also like from Civil War, and even like he's getting slightly bigger previously in the movie. And also, there's this thing where he gets like really, really tired really quickly. And I could understand that if he went even bigger than he did in Civil War. But in Civil War, he's able to fight for quite a while and doesn't get especially tired. They say in this movie he slept for like 3 days afterwards. Fair enough, because like you could work around that based on what...
I figured it was a problem where when he went back down, he got really tired.
Yeah, but
no. He got really tired while he was really big in this movie.
It's a bit of an inconsistency, I'll be honest, guys. It just means that the Wasp gets to save him when he nearly drowns, which is fair enough, I guess. But it's just, and then they finally get the lab back, which means that Hank and Janet can. This is the problem, you see, because I've always known the Wasp as Janet Van Dyne. And now we've got the Wasp played by Hope Van Dyne. That's why I keep on accidentally referring to her as Hope, because I'm trying to differentiate these two different characters, and it's difficult for me.
And I've also never understood why Hope kept her mom's last name. That, like, wouldn't she have just been Hope Pym the entire time?
I think that she had an estrangement from her dad for a while, and just sort of did it as a dig to him. Because, and again, this whole movie, we could have had a chance to really discuss and go into the depth of the ego of Hank Pym, and we never really do. And while this is going on, Bill Foster is trying to dissuade Ava from doing really bad things. It's like saying, "Hey, don't kidnap that little girl, don't kill anyone. We're going to fix this." And she's desperate, and we understand like her point of view. That is something I will give this movie credit for. Like, if I were facing out of existence and I was on the verge of death, like, I might be willing to put a few of my principles aside because, you know, it's a survival situation. I get that. And it's interesting to see that he's trying to be her moral center and trying to help her, because it was so easy for him to just either not care very much or enable her. But no, he's really trying to be a moral center, and that's just pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely gives more credence to the fact that it was Hank's fault that he had a falling out with Bill, because Bill is such a nice guy that he's just trying to help her and get her to stop trying to kill people.
And it's like the pieces are there for this really interesting character of Hank, but they're not willing to commit and show this character having done bad things. But here's the thing: when you can have a character doing bad things, you can give them a redemption. You can make them grow as a character, which is what happens to Ava. Because Janet, I just still keep doing it. Jeez, Janet and Hank get back from the quantum realm, and she somehow gifts Ava some of her quantum energy, which allows her to stabilize her, which I thought was permanent, but it turns out is only temporary. Great. Okay, so I guess she's...
yeah. I mean, I think the original intent was that it was going to be permanent, but they needed a reason for the end credit scene.
Oh, we'll get to that.
We'll get there.
And so Walton Goggins is apprehended and by the FBI. Scott manages to fool the FBI one last time. Miranda Park takes off his ankle monitor, and they have one last awkward goodbye. Is funny, I guess. Sure, awkward, cringe, nah. And he gets reunited with his daughter. Hope and Janet and Hank are all reunited, and we see. And it ends with a song, literally, like the song is ended with the happy, "Come on, get happy."
Yeah.
And it's just like...
everything's good, nothing ever bad is ever gonna happen ever.
And they put one thing I did like was Janet and Hank resizing their house, which it turned out they kept, and putting it on a beach somewhere. Because like these people are still fugitives, and Bill and Ava are still on the run, sort of, but they're sticking together, and it's kind of sweet. I also like that. I think this is a pretty good I want to say that this is a pretty good antagonist for the movie because she's got an interesting, sympathetic backstory, interesting character motivation, interesting powers, stands out, good performance. Like this is the latest in a trend of really much better, much more decent antagonists in Marvel movies, because I think they realised a lot of people saying, "Hey, these villains aren't very good and very well defined." And they've really taken that to heart.
Villains are like the biggest hurdle, I think, in like superhero movies in general. Is that like they can get really stale and samey very quickly.
But thankfully, they took that to heart, and it's interesting to see the relationship between her and Bill as well. That's cool.
It's definitely like a father figure kind of situation.
Yeah, because they've got Hank and Hope, and you've got Scott and Cassie, and it's really cool. And things have kind of calmed down. It's over now, and it's all good. Everything's fine. Mid-credits scene. Oh, let's go into the quantum realm to get a bunch of energy for Ava. They shrink Scott down, and
poof.
They got both Hope and Hank and Janet have disintegrated. They've gone, and Scott is stuck in the quantum realm. Here's the thing, though. I knew this scene was coming. I knew there would be an end credit scene where some or all or one or two of these characters would disintegrate and go poof, and a few of them would be left behind.
Yeah, I figured that was gonna happen because like they haven't talked about it yet. They're gonna have to talk about it.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they added something extra to that by leaving Ant-Man drifting and stuck in the quantum, because they need to bring him back out, and they got disintegrated before they could do that, so he's stuck there.
It's such an easy way for them to explain why he is not going to be in Avengers 4. If he is that going to be at the very end? Because the only people who can get him out are disintegrated right now. And so, I don't think he's going to be in Avengers 4. And I think, he would break it. Because there's so many ways that Scott could just shrink the glove or shrink an Infinity Stone. And it's done. The end.
Unless someone's using the Infinity Stones, in which case I think he's got a pretty reasonable defense. But also, we knew the scene was coming, and they knew the scene was coming because they were planning this movie, I think, while they were filming Infinity War, or about to film it while they were filming Infinity War. So Peyton Reed and the Russo brothers were in contact while these movies were being made, and they kept them up to date with what was going on. So
I mean, you have to be everything has to go back to the Russo brothers.
Yeah, and but it's also because I think Peyton Reed knew that we would know that this scene was coming, so he added this extra thing of Scott being stuck in the quantum realm as an extra, because they could have ended with them being disintegrated and Scott looking around like, "Hey guys, where'd you go, guys?" But they added something extra to it, which shocked me. I mean, it shocked me even further because I right now, even just thinking about that scene, I am shook.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it adds to the list of questions of who is okay and who isn't. Because we know Scott is, and that's it. The only person we know in that movie is okay is Scott.
But, and there's one ant in the post-credits scene who's playing a drum solo.
Oh, yeah, the ant.
Yeah, because we don't get a lot of focus on, we see a lot of big ants, we don't get a lot of focus, we don't get an Anthony in this movie. We get an Antonio Banderas. And another ant pun that I can't remember. Because, the funny scene...
because Antonio Banderas dies, and then he's like, oh, I need a new ant, or something like that. Or it's the other way around.
No, what happens is he's trying to get onto the ferry, and it's like, okay, I need an ant to fly me over. An ant flies over to help him, gets eaten by a seagull. And then another ant, and another... 4 different
ants get eaten by seagulls.
And it's like, okay, movie, I kind of was very sad when the first ant died. Now it feels like I feel like the ants, there should be an anti-defamation league or something.
Yeah.
They're just appalled at the treatment of ants in this movie because, geez. Oh, God.
Do you see, I feel like ants are not a good protein source for seagulls.
Yeah, weird, but it was kind of funny. And just seeing the ant do the drum solo was cool, and him interacting with Michael Pena throughout the movie. Oh god, also like while that scene was playing, there's like static and like a tone, a beep tone from the TV, showing like all the different color, like in a test. I don't know what you call that.
Because everything got shut down.
And there's silence otherwise, and you can't see any other people, and it's just like, oh my god, it's so empty. What's happening out there? And then you just see the ant doing the drum solo. It's like, oh, well, thank God the ant survived. Oh god.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because the Russo brothers probably confirmed recently that like it wasn't just people.
Yeah. I think that's problematic as far as Thanos is, because they're like, I'm going to get rid of all sentient beings and all animals. Back to
where we started.
Yeah, I think that as far as resources go, that's going to be just as much
the ratio is still a problem. Like you just made it smaller.
You know, conservation activists are going to be furious. Like, oh my shit, we were in a dire situation already. Now there's even less fucking pandas. Oh god, Thanos, you're making my job much harder. I mean, I know I survived. Jeez, do you know if you survived? Because there's a website you can go on to.
Oh, there is a website. I don't think I checked.
Because here's the thing. I checked that. I can't remember what it's called. Where you can check to see if you survived Thanos wiping like all sentient species, half a sentient species out of all the known universe. And I checked on my phone, and it said that I died.
Did Thanos kill me? .me.
That's it.
Thanos kill .me? Oh, I got spared.
You got spared. But here's the thing. I did not get spared on my phone, so I checked on my laptop and it said I got spared, and then I checked on my PS4 and it said I got spared. It's because I got 2 spares out of 3 possible options. Like I consider myself spared.
Yeah, you're okay. You're good.
Good. So we both survived, thank goodness, because I don't know what the world would do without us, honestly.
Exactly.
In these troubled times, people look to us for a source of comfort and strength.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, you need nerds talking about movies for hours.
Absolutely. The world would fall apart without us. And that's basically the end of the movie. And it was sort of like this fun, self-contained little movie featuring this idea of people shrinking and growing, and it goes with it and it runs with it, takes full advantage of it. It's creative, it's funny, it's action-packed. It does have a lot of problems, but the stuff that works really does work. It's just a lot of these are nitpicks. A lot of them are serious problems, but they're problems I suppose that we can live with. It's just I don't really want to live with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie could have been better, and it's just okay as it is. Yeah.
But it's okay because we get possibly one of the greatest Stan Lee cameo quotes in all of these movies. Like, the 60s were great, but now I'm paying for it when his car gets shrunk in front of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is so tongue-in-cheek and self-referential.
I mean, my favorite Stan Lee cameo was in the Teen Titans Go movie, but I don't think that's come out in the UK yet.
He was in the Teen Titans Go movie?
Oh, it is probably one of the, like, that movie is another level, another conversation for later. It's okay, but that part is just fantastic. He like realizes he's in the wrong universe, and he's like, oh, okay.
Well, now I have to see Teen Titans Go. Damn you, Alex! You made me have to go and see. I was never planning on going and seeing this movie.
According to Tara Strong, if you do see it, Teen Titans, the original show, will get a season 6. So.
Well, fuck it. Now I have to go and see it.
Exactly. Gee. That's what she promised. That's what one of the producers promised. So that's why I took my brother to go see it. We were like, okay, we're spending money on this.
Yeah, I'm going to take the person that I took with me to see Ant-Man to see that movie. She's going to hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a kids movie through and through.
Oh god, yeah, and a bit about the production of this movie. We talked a bit about Michelle Pfeiffer and how good she looked. I'm just looking, and there's a picture of her in the 80s and her in the beginning scene of this movie. They based her appearance on how she looked back then. They got it down.
Yeah. She just looks so good.
And
I mean, she's now in the same universe as Michael Keaton again.
Oh yes.
I mean, and they're both animals, kinda.
Wasp.
She's a bug. Well, she's not really the Wasp.
Well, yeah, and, she was sort of like Ant-Woman, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, and they're, as far as we know, they're both still alive. So they could both. We could possibly see them in a movie together again.
Oh my god, a crossover between Ant-Man and Spider-Man. Can you imagine?
Totally different sides of the country. But somehow, some way, maybe they'll make it happen.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. I mean, Avengers 4 got people together Avengers 4. Infinity War got people together you didn't think were gonna have screen time together, and, who knows? Maybe we'll get minor characters having screen time together.
Yeah.
Even if they're Ash.
Oh god. I'm wondering what happened to all the Netflix characters. I'm worried. Is this going to be mentioned at the end or during Iron Fist?
I don't know. Probably. That's the thing. I think that is one of the biggest issues that all of these shows that are doing their own thing are going to have to deal with. Cloak and Dagger has been absolutely fantastic, but it does take place before Infinity War. And so I'm worried that all of this character development, all this growth is going to go fly out the window because one of them turns to ash in the middle of an episode.
Oh god. Yeah, but that is a conversation for another time. I think we've pretty much covered everything we need to talk. Is there anything else you want to talk to about this movie?
No, I think we hit every point.
Oh, that's something I want to talk about. The girl playing Cassie Lang.
Oh, yes.
Good child actor.
She's great. I'm
excited
to see her in more stuff.
Do you know what she is? She's just adorable. Those saucer eyes and...
I don't know, but I hope that she doesn't fall into the pit of unknown child stars, because she needs to keep doing stuff. Abby Ryder Fortson, I think.
Fortson.
Yeah, it's Fortson. It's Fortson.
Yeah, and she's one to watch, hopefully, because this character could have been so poorly acted easily. The material given to her, it is good material, but that would have been. It was a real big risk. Was that the same actor that played her in the first movie?
Yep.
Okay.
According to her IMDb, same girl.
Brilliant, and also we get what's her face, Judy Greer and Bobby Cannavale. I don't know how you say him, as the ex-wife and the ex-wife's new husband, and I like how they're now all buddy in this movie now.
Yeah, everyone's they tied that up in a neat bow, even though Scott blew up their house. In the first movie, at the end of the first movie, that their house is destroyed, and they're just we're still friends.
It's been 2 years. People get over that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he is on house arrest, so I think I think they're even. You blew up our house, but you're in trouble with the FBI, so,
Yeah, also, one thing I do kind of wish this movie had done is I kind of wish they'd have gone into greater detail of his relationship with Judy Greer, about how the fact that he is now technically a superhero, or at least a former superhero, and how she reacts to that.
And does it cause problems for her in her personal life?
Does she let her daughter see him? That could have been a real issue, but then again, that might have been repeating something that was happening in the previous movie, That's
true. Yeah, I mean, and I'm I'm interested in seeing if they keep because obviously, if Cassie is Cassie Lang, Lang is going to be a target. Anyone with the name Lang, I feel is going to be some kind of, target for people trying to get to Ant-Man. I mean, I guess that's the struggle of every superhero thing, but...
That is my gift. That is my curse. Who am I? I'm Ant-Man. Ants. Ants.
Ants.
Ant-Man! I can't do it. Especially with the way I'm sitting, but God, that's all the trailers they needed.
That's all. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, I don't know if they did this, but they should have done it. It's do the same thing, but with Evangeline Lilly doing it with them. That would have been so cool.
Lilly would have done it too, because she's like in general has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like she's very much like, she seems very uptight, but in the promotional like interview, she seemed very relaxed and laid back, and a little bit more friendly.
Maybe it's because we haven't seen her a lot of stuff. I've only seen her in Ant-Man movies and one of the Hobbit movies. Lost.
Yeah, she was Kate in Lost.
I've never seen Lost, so I don't know.
That was like the big thing in my family was Lost. My dad literally was obsessed with that the entire time it was on. So I mean that was her like big thing before this. I think was. Oh my God! It was the reason why she had an American visa at least.
Oh, I see. Okay. God, I'm just still trying to get over the fact that she was just inserted into The Hobbit.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just kind of there.
Hey, I'm here now, and I'm also in love with fucking Aidan Turner. Although, let's be honest, who isn't? Take me, Poldark! Oh, God. I don't think there's really anything else for us to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think we covered all the bases.
So, to sum up, it's a fun movie. It's a good movie. It's very creative. It does have a lot of, I think, mainly character problems. As far as plot goes, I think it's a couple of, like, conveniences here and there, but nothing we can't really live with. But they really do, Marvel, and just in general, superhero movies in general, let's really focus on the female-led superhero movies. Let's have a Black Widow movie, maybe have a Wasp spin-off, and like, 'cause we got Jessica Jones, and that's and we had Agent Carter until it was taken from us.
Yeah. I mean, I'm worried about the whole Defenders lineup. They always do well, but I don't know. They're kind of not doing as well as they did, and who knows how long that is gonna stick around. And then
that's why I think we need to push for more. Let's get She-Hulk out there. Let's get all these characters that we actually like and are interesting and deserve a time on the screen.
Modern day.
Put them in the modern day.
All of the female superhero-led movies have been in the past. Wonder Woman 84, Captain Marvel's gonna be in the 80s.
I thought it was in the 90s.
Everything is in the past.
I thought it was in the 90s.
Or in the 90s, yes, that. But let's look at them in modern times. I want to see, Wonder Woman have to deal with the alt-right and actually have to deal with now problems.
I want a scene where Wonder Woman defends a woman that's trying to breastfeed her child in public.
Yes.
Like sort of thing like that, like they did that one episode in Charmed, only done well.
Yeah.
Fuck Charmed. Reboots. I don't care if you're rebooting it. Fuck Charmed. Anyway,
it's being rebooted on the CW, so I don't expect much from it.
I don't expect anything from it, jeez. But that's a story for another time. So let's get more female superheroes out there and let's get their fucking toys on the shops.
Yes, absolutely.
Fuck's sake. But anyway, I think on that note, that is where we're going to end the show. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And if you enjoy the show, Capers, please tell your friends, shout it on the rooftops. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some of our other super episodes, like our Infinity War episode. We talked about that. If you listen to this one, go watch that. And you can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, or at podcapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out the rewards, patreon.com/AP2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC, or email us at podcapers@AP2HYC.com. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone with the red and blue 3D glasses. Those are mine. And don't forget, you can still get tickets and still catch up with us at Meanwhile Comic-Con. We're going to be there next Saturday. We're recording this on Saturday, so a week from now, you could see me live at Meanwhile at Worthing. So come and check us out. We'd love to have you there. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. Cue the music!